Welcome back to Hardball. The fight over Brett Kavanaugh is hot right now, tonight, especially tonight. And Republicans are sounding, well, they're confident, they think they are anyway. A former top aide to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell told Axios the Kavanaugh debate has dropped a political grenade into the middle of the electorate that had been largely locked in Democrats' favor for the past 6 months. Well, a new NPR, National Public Radio, PBS Marist poll showed a huge jump in Republican enthusiasm since July, now virtually matching that of the Dems. Well, that enthusiasm may be helping out in one key race in the Senate. A Fox poll out of North Dakota shows Heidi Heitkamp trailing her Republican challenger Kevin Cramer by double digits now. She had been trailing by only 4. Let's bring in the Hardball Roundtable tonight. Some big shots tonight. Steve Kornacki, NBC News national political correspondent. Now, there's a title. National political. Look out, Tom Brokaw. National political correspondent and author of The Red and the Blue. Ashley Pratte. Conservative commentator. Well, that's a general title. And Jason Johnson is the politics editor at Hote. You know, I think a couple things are real. And I wonder if they're still true. You're the expert this year in this cycle. I think women are going to vote. I think they're going to vote in the burbs. I think women, and there were some who had a problem with Hillary, are going to vote the pure way they were going to vote before all the mishigas with Hillary last time. And they're going to vote big. And their husbands and the more moderate Alan Alda type, more modern men are going to vote with them. But I do think out west there's going to be a smaller red wave. Your thoughts? Yeah,
and even not necessarily just out west. There's a lot of districts where they're sort of split in half. And you've got a suburban metropolitan portion of the district where that Democratic energy is high. And all year, Republicans have been looking for something that will fire up the rural, the exurban parts of districts. And they think just in the last week with Kavanaugh, they weren't expecting it, but they think just in terms of the polling they've been seeing, the small dollar donations.
Who gets fired up on the Kavanaugh side of this fight? Ashley, you
gender-wise, because I'm going to say,
give me who they are.
So I'm going to say independents, and I'm going to say young female women like myself, and I'm going to
get fired up against Kavanaugh.
Yeah,
but
sure.
What about who's on the other side?
So I'm going to say the ones that are for him are these old white men, and that's what the Republicans have always represented. And this does nothing to help that stereotype. I used to vote Republican. 2016 was a huge turnoff to me. They could have recruited me back, but guess what? They're not. This whole disgusting charade that they have put forward has been a huge issue and will be for females further to come. They say they're a big tent party in 2012 in their defeat. They said they wanted to embrace minorities and young women. They've done nothing but discourage that.
What do you think of this short order thing they did last week? This investigation.
Yeah, well, I mean, I applaud Senator Flake, Murkowski, and Collins for all trying to step forward, but we all knew nothing could be accomplished in a week, nothing definitive anyway. And this was more of a delay tactic.
Why don't they still vote no?
Pretend to care.
It's a charade, but they're voting for it. It looks like
it looks like they are. I'm going to hold out hope here that, you know, with Senator Flake being in my home state of New Hampshire the other night, he's thinking about being that never-Trump, anti-Trump 2020 candidate, hopefully, and he will go down in history for doing something historic.
What do you see happening? Jason, first of all, the politics. Do you think this is going to help who?
This is going to help Republicans who are worried about enthusiasm. But here's the thing. They were behind in enthusiasm, right? This is really just a catch-up. It's not really a game changer at this point. And you have to look at the difference between states where there's a tight Senate race and states where there aren't, right? So you look at Georgia, for example. There's no Senate race there. But you got Brian Kemp, who came out and endorsed Kavanaugh. That may end up hurting him. You've got Florida. Hey, maybe some people that's going to help Rick Scott. But it could also empower independents who want to vote for Nelson. And then you've also got somebody like Gillum who's carrying things along. So I don't think this is a general win or a loss for Republicans. I think it depends on state by state by state. And you know what? If he gets confirmed this weekend, where's that enthusiasm go? Right?
You think it's over?
I think it's over. If he gets confirmed this weekend, who gets galvanized by that? Democrats do. The Republicans won. They're partying and drinking at that point, so there's no value to it. So I think this whole idea of enthusiasm, it's attention being paid now, but in another 3 weeks, if Kavanaugh's already on the Supreme Court, it only helps Democrats.
Steve, do you think that the Kavanaugh pain he went through a week ago, the excruciating look on his face, he was being pounded by the Democratic senators, I think appropriately so. Is that really going to rebuild the Trump coalition?
But what drives, one of the things that drives politics these days, it's not necessarily what your party's for, it's who's against your party.
Yeah.
And on the Republican side, what did they look up and see? How was it perceived? In a lot of quarters, it was obviously the Democrats, it was the media.
They didn't like Chloe, they didn't like Klobuchar, they didn't like Kamala Harris, they didn't like Corey.
They felt their enemies were in a pile-on, and they rallied. I think that's what I see in those numbers.
And they identified with Kavanaugh's accused behavior? What he did?
I think as a young woman, what I saw is even today in a press conference, again, these all-white, older men sitting there telling me how I should feel about something, and this is a sham, and this is a problem. And I will never agree with that. And a lot of independent young female women, there's never going to be.
Okay, let me go back. I'm going to say something now more dramatic than I've heard in the last 3 minutes here. Trump comes out on national television the other night and trashes the woman who said she was sexually assaulted.
Yes.
And there's a message. You're telling women, shut up.
He's telling women,
I'm putting my hand over your mouth like he was supposed to have done it. Are you kidding what that's saying to people?
Look, there are people who like it. I described it yesterday. There are Republican people who like it. There are women who like it. There are lots of people who...
What, they like somebody locking the door, turning up the music, putting their hand over your mouth?
They don't think it happened. You got to remember that a lot of Republicans are driven more by who they don't like than what they want. When Ted Cruz put out a picture showing Klobuchar and Cory Booker and Kamala Harris, he was saying, look, the coloreds and the women are coming after you. And there's people who are motivated by that. Like, we can't pretend that's not a driving force.
The who and the women?
The coloreds and the women. I'm using an old-fashioned term. But look, that's what he was saying. He's like, these people who aren't like you are trying to take someone down. You are Brett Kavanaugh. It doesn't matter if you weren't rich. It doesn't matter if you didn't go to Georgetown Prep. And that's going to work. The problem is, I don't know that that matters once the guy gets in.
So Brett Kavanaugh is the last surviving white guy. Is that what he's selling? Is that what Trump's selling?
Well, it is the Trump base, the folks who surged in 2016. 100%. They have been looking all year, Republicans, to find a way to get him to surge.
Oh, we got some breaking news. It's a live show. Judge Brett Kavanaugh just published an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. He wrote in part, I testified before the Judiciary Committee last Thursday to defend my family, my good name, and my lifetime of public service. My hearing testimony was forceful and passionate. That is because I forcefully and passionately denied the allegation against me. At times, my testimony, both in my opening statement and in response to questions, reflected my overwhelming frustration at being wrongly accused without corroboration of horrible conduct completely contrary to my record and character. My statement and answers also reflected my deep distress at the unfairness of how this allegation has been handled. Going forward, you can count on me to be the same kind of judge and person I have been for my entire 28-year legal career, hardworking, even-keeled, open-minded, independent, and dedicated to the Constitution and the public good. He's Billy Budd. This is Melville. He's Billy Budd. He's wrongly accused.
Even-keeled and open-minded?
You know, Jason, what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's okay. This is what galls me about this. One, isn't this what everybody with a drinking problem does? I will never do that again. Oh, my God, that was only this last weekend. And as I've said before, and we were talking about the rally and talking about the people who are excited about this, this to them is just placating those liberals. They don't believe that. They think that Kavanaugh was fine as he is. And like I said, the people who rally around him and support him, they're like the crowd of guys and the accused. They like this violence. They think that this fighting back is what they really want to see, and he's a representation of that.
We'll see. These are unlikely candidates for John Wayne. Lindsey Graham, this guy. Anyway, Ashley Pratte, thank you. Jason Johnson, Steve Kornacki, you're going to stick around. We got more to talk about.